Okay. Hi. I think I'm getting slowly better at merging these two platforms. Thank you for showing up, everyone that's here on Zoom, and I'm sure there'll be a few more that'll join us on Facebook. I just want to look at my other screen and make sure that we're happening. Great. Oh, no. Anyways, it shows that we're live. Zila, if you're there, maybe you could give me the thumbs up. So, everybody who's here and who is coming, my name is Danny, and I am the creator of Skin Harmonics. And it's a company that has been a long time in the making for me. It's been in place, I've been doing skincare for 20 plus years. I've been under several different names over the years. And Skin Harmonics is the one that I've been with for the longest, the last 10 or 12 years. And it's basically been this whole journey and unfoldment of my personal relationship with skin and, of course, the whole beauty industry, because everything is connected. So thanks for joining. There's a few more people. Let me just say hi real fast. Okay, good, good, good. All right. So, where to even begin on this topic? This is a topic that I could spend hours on. And I think it is one of the longest chapters in my book because the detox process is such a wild process and it's so different depending on the skin that's going through it. So this is how this will go. I'm going to just talk about this process of skin detox and what it is. And then I'll open the floor just to field any questions. And they don't necessarily have to be related to a skin detox per se. They could just be anything that's skin related. This is, I think, the one thing that I'm liking about Facebook, this platform. And of course, these Facebook Lives are kind of an experiment, is I'm loving this idea of being able to just take random questions and answer them. That's like one of my favorite things. But we'll see where this goes. It might be that I just start recording videos and putting them in different places. So I want to, thank you again for showing up and just kind of like playing along with me and just seeing like what works. So, what I want to dive in and talk about is skin detox and like, what is that? It's sort of a nebulous generic term, I know, and I'm kind of grabbing it and owning it today as if I invented it, and I kind of did. Even though it's a generic term. And what I discovered after working with skin for about 10 or 12 years is that when the skin really heals and like for real, like really, really starts to reorganize itself and heal, is that it purges from the inside out. And so all of the congestion that was stored in the skin and hidden in the skin, oftentimes something that was unperceivable before, starts to come, and that migration of old congestion starts to make it up and is released through the top of our skin. And of course, I was surprised as anybody was watching this all when I first started getting hip to like what was happening with people's skin. And it all kind of started when I added dermal nutrients to the formula for helping people with their skin. And just to back it up again, I started my skincare career using only natural methods, all aromatherapy farm recipes that I had crafted myself. And then I went to aesthetic school and learned about clinical skincare and this whole strategy of like wounding to heal with chemical peels and microdermabrasion. And after about 3 to 4 years in that, I discovered these topical dermal nutrients, which added to some other fundamental elements like water and this idea of barrier restoration, the skin starts to make new skin cells from that home deeper dermal layer. And that's exciting because no longer do we have to harm to heal. We don't have to smack our skin around and do all of these like microdermabrasion, lasers, microneedling. That's a newer one. All of this over scrubbing of our skin. And then we no longer have to withhold oil either from our skin in order to cure acne. If we just feed our skin in a way that our skin recognizes and you can use and metabolize, like it's something that is applied topically, the skin absorbs it through the top layer, and then our dermal layer turns it into new skin cells. So all of a sudden, all of my clients' skin, and this was years ago when I had the Skin Sanctuary of Taos, and myself, my children, all my clients, we were all kind of guinea pigs for this process. And it was so exciting because what I saw happen was the skin just like lifting up all of this congestion in order for it to be so easily removed in an extraction session. And so this is the difference between, this is like using a healing detox in order to retext you versus, this is the big difference. Yes, we're getting new skin cells that are being made when you do a chemical peel and when you do a laser. We'll get to a traditional retinol cream soon, but when you do those things, when you wound the skin, when you're smacking it, when you're traumatizing it, it's a trauma response, and our skin jumps up, freaks out, and starts making new skin cells to save its life. And so yes, we're getting new skin cells, but the price that we're paying is really high for those skin cells. And what happens, and what I will be a testament for, is that I watched my skin, because I participated in this personally, and I watched my client's skin, and I've worked with a ton of skin that's been procedured in all of these ways. Well, it diminishes over time. The luster leaves. There's this, yes, there's this initial shock and vibrancy that happens initially, but it's just a temporary freak out, and then all that inflammation goes away, and then over time the skin is weakened over time. That dermal layer that we depend upon to make new skin cells and to circulate blood becomes diminished. It becomes beat down. It's like we're asking it to work day and night, produce, and we're not giving it anything in order to do that. So that is kind of, in a nutshell, the main differences between actually having a deep healing response and having the skin come to life because of hydration, deep dermal nourishment, something that I call barrier restoration, where we're not withholding oil and water levels can raise. So that's using a heavier moisturizer. And when all of those things are combined, the skin starts to reorganize and make new skin cells, and then there's this pressing up and this releasing of oftentimes a lifetime of congestion. And that also, I want to also just mention that, let's just say that you're not necessarily participating and getting chemical peels or a laser session. Skin that's dehydrated cannot heal either. So that's really important that that's in place. So there's this whole movement about curing acne and with clearing our pores. And I think I touched on this on last week, where there's this withholding of high quality oils and lipids from our skin because there's this fear of blocking our pores and clogging them. And so when all of these factors come together, and I've seen it many times when I see new clients, I'm looking at their skin up close, and the skin is kind of shell shocked, if you will. It's dehydrated, and it's in this like frozen, clamped down state where it's not moving, it's not releasing, not even a whitehead, and it's holding a lot of congestion that I can see just under the surface, but it's sort of in this with this skin that towards the top is very compacted. It's not soft and fluffy the way the top layer of our skin should be. And so the main thing between a skin detox and the real thing, using dermal nutrients and hydration and barrier restoration, and just going and having a chemical peel or getting a microdermabrasion session, is that it's like the skin is either suppressed and locked down, or it's fluffed up and hydrated, and it's like it's releasing, and it's this forward motion and movement that the skin has, rather than just like it's just like kind of, yeah, clamped down. This is why they call me skin oracle. So I can really feel into people's skin and feel that the state of what their skin is, and that lends itself to the relationship that we have with our skin, which is really important. And that's a question that we should just ask ourselves, like with anything, like, what is my relationship with my skin? What is my relationship to myself? What is my relationship to the world? All of it, right? Like, those are great questions. And so I wanted this time as my last Facebook Live for a while to focus in on this as like the crux of like what I really want to share with people is, why would we ever just, dehydrate our skin and sabotage it, clamp down and suppress our skin's health and vibrancy, when we could do this other strategy? And I'll answer this to myself, and I'll tell you why. One of the reasons why is that there's a temporary healing phase that happens. And sometimes this temporary phase is a week or two or a few days. It depends on how far out of alignment that your skin is, how dehydrated is your skin, how much congestion is your skin holding from years. So however your skin is, and when it intersects with all of these positive elements like optimal hydration, all of a sudden being given the oil it needs to trap the water in the skin, and it has this, access to dermal nutrients. When it intersects with that, how far off is your skin? And that will determine how rocky or how smooth your detox will go. And I get asked all the time, how long is this going to take? How intense will it be? And I honestly, everybody's skin is so different, and I've seen so many different styles over the years. And what I do know is that we can trust it. It's like we give it all the water it needs. We give it as much dermal nutrients as we can give it without irritating it. And we give as much heavy moisturizer and barrier restoration as we can personally stand. And we kind of just set back and let the generosity of that every morning and night and our self-care practice carry our skin. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the main thing. And I want to start taking a question, and I might think of something else as this rolls on. But I did want to mention that last week somebody had a really good question about how many skin products is too much. And we went through and we decided that some sort of gentle cleanser once in a while, a hydrating mist, a hydrating serum, ideally with the dermal nutrients, and then a really good moisturizer that's dense with lipids, and a sunscreen. And I wanted to add one more as being a basic, because there's lots of flourishes that we can do with our skin. There's other serums that I sell that I call specialty serums, but none of that is going to work unless this foundation is locked down. And so the one product I wanted to add to that was vitamin C. So vitamin C is a really powerful antioxidant, and it's been proven across the board in all different situations and skincare lines and, all of it, to be a really effective way to mitigate sun damage. So I wanted to add in a vitamin C product. And in my skincare line, the vitamin C is not included in the serum. It's something, the vitamin C that I use is really active. And so I have it a la carte on the side so that we can separate it from everyday care and only add it in. Usually it's a few days a week, but I want to have that complete control to add it in only when our skin is in a place to receive it. So I'm going to just see. Okay, this is a good question. And I think I alluded to this several times because I think what got me started on this topic was pore strips and how people were just applying. They come in all different. There's a lot of different companies that make these pore strips, but they're like a wax strip or like a goo that you put on, and then you wait for it to harden and you like rip it off. And that's what got me started on this specifically, to be like, okay, this is what I want to talk about. So basically, pore strips are just a way of just like ripping some, not all, superficial congestion out of the skin. And great. I would estimate that those, depending on which pore strips you used, I've experienced maybe a 50 to 60% removal of the shallow congestion. Now, there's a lot of problems with that. Number one is that if you're not raising water levels and restoring the barrier and getting new skin cells to the top of the skin, then it all just comes back within weeks. Like you're just digging the same hole over and over and over again, which is kind of depressing. So it's a quick fix that has no long-term benefit. And the other thing is that it's really pretty intense on the skin. Like it's really rough. And so if skin is irritated anyway, or how about the fact that it's just in a normal resting state that normal skin should be at it, and you're ripping at it? That's what causes defensive skin. And that's a nuance of what I've worked with in the past, is skin that has always had to like shield itself and protect and armor itself from these really micro-violent procedures to our skin, is that it becomes really defensive and it almost gets tougher and thicker in response, instead of being like permeable and soft in this beautiful barrier that's just sort of like breathing and moving with our bodies and with our skin and releasing oil and releasing sweat and is all plumped up. So when we're taking that skin, if it's in that correct state, and just ripping at it with the pore strips, you're causing like a lot of defensiveness to happen with your skin. And so that would be my answer with the pore strips. And I know they can be really popular, and to me it's just like a really bad cheap move that can do more harm than good short term, just is so rough on the skin. And the other thing, I think I just mentioned this, but I didn't really quite go all the way, is that it doesn't get it all out. I work with clients who've had a lifetime of chronic dehydration and perhaps even over proceduring done with their skin. And what happens is there's that crust that happens at the very top with skin that's not breathing or moving or functioning correctly. And then underneath it is all of these compacted blackheads, milia clusters that are attached to each other and to the edges of our skin underneath. So it's not just those simple superficial blackheads that can be, taken out with the pore strips. That is like the tip of the iceberg generally. So there's a lot of congestion that's way more complicated, that's just under the surface as well, that is not necessarily deep in the skin at all, although there is that slow migration of that old congestion that makes its way to the top over time. But it's really complicated, and the skin has been coping and holding it for so long that sometimes those little milia clusters can move horizontally through the skin. Sometimes they can go a little bit deeper. But the skin, it's like the skin is, nobody dies from amelia, right? But the skin is coping, and it does it by storing it in creative ways as the years go on, and this congestion isn't resolved in our skin. So awesome. And Zila, keep sending me questions. There's like a lot of questions coming through, so give me a moment here. The eye nourishing patches. Okay, so I'm getting this question. Clarify what those are, because I have. Is it the silicone that goes underneath the eye patches, or I don't know? Send me more information on that, and I'm gonna look at some other questions. Okay, I get this question all the time, so I'm gonna. Okay, so we've got two questions. I'm going to answer this one really quick, and then we'll go back to the eye patch one. So what type of cleanser to use? Cleansers are easy to fake. That's like the big thing I want to tell you guys. The main thing is that you're never using an anti-aging or an acne cleanser. They're way too harsh, and they're going to disrupt your natural acid mantle, or another way of me talking about that is it's going to tear down your natural barrier on your skin. And we're doing this whole thing about barrier restoration. So no anti-aging or acne cleanser ever. And no just normal bar of soap. Like a body soap is just still too harsh. So the only thing you ever want to use on your skin, and only if you have on makeup or sunscreen, is a gentle cleanser. And you're going to pay for purity. So you can, if you go to the health food store, you're going to have a far better chance of finding something pure. But you want to select a cleanser that's for normal skin, for gentle skin. And then you're only going to want to use it when you have makeup or sunscreen on, which means in the morning, you're never going to use it. You're going to use warm water. Yes, warm water, optional washcloth, and you can also throw in some coconut oil or an olive oil. Like, I'm a big fan of oil cleansing. And at night, you don't have to even use a gentle cleanser if you didn't use a hardcore sunscreen. Like today, I put a tiny bit of natural foundation and powder on, and it's so natural that I just can rinse in the shower and use a little bit of a natural, washcloth, just very gentle, and off it comes. There's this big obsession with cleansing, and a cleanser isn't going to make or break you as long as you're not using a cleanser that's too strong. And I would also avoid, like, I sell 3 cleansers myself. They're all really pure. They're all really gentle. I have one that's better at removing makeup and hardcore sunscreen than the others. But the main thing is, like, don't spend a lot of time or attention on cleansing your skin. Even if you're a farmer, water and a warm washcloth and steam go a lot further than you would think. And another thing that you can do when you're done, rinsing your skin in the shower or over the sink, is you can use a dry, fluffy towel and really do a yummy scrub with a towel that's like a mini exfoliation that's not intense and that's just right. And that can go a long way of just like freshening your skin and making you feel like it's maybe a little bit cleaner. But skin that's over cleansed has that like squeaky feeling and sound to it where there's not even oil on it, and that's where people get into trouble because they've somehow been trained by the beauty industry that like that then their skin is clean. But what that tells me is their skin is dehydrated, and that's when the real congestion is going to start building up in the skin. So, okay, so, and I'm going to jump over to this other question about the eye patches. And so I like the silicone patches. There's nothing really nourishing about a silicone patch, though. Silicone is a petroleum byproduct, so we know that it's not natural per se. But it has that, has a little bit of weight to it, and it's flat and smooth. And what that does is it presses the wrinkles down and in, and they can also prevent scars from forming. But it's more about hydration and the pressing in of fine lines. And I've also read in some cases when the silicone is thick enough, it's like a muscle trainer per se, where that denseness can help keep those muscles relaxed. And around the eye area, I could do a whole thing just about eyes. There's a few reasons that we get our eyes are just, there's a lot going on there. We don't have pores on our eyes. I had a client remind me of that the other day, and it's true, and it's sort of strange. We don't have pores on our eyes, but the skin around our eyes and on our eyelids is at the thinnest on our whole body, which means this skin actually repairs really, really fast, sometimes overnight. But it's really easy for it to stay hydrated and to become dehydrated. So the silicone patches are a way of helping the eye area stay hydrated as long as all these good layering products are in place. And that's basically the main thing. The other thing is underneath our eyes is a lot of fluid can build up. Like a puffy eyes can be from like basically you could learn how to do lymphatic drainage for your skin. But if you've got fluid building up underneath your eyes, it means that your whole body has some excess fluid in it. And so learning about lymphatic massage and just how to keep inflammation out of the body in general to help keep this area, and this is me doing a little bit of lymph. If you press really hard, you've gone too deep. It's just like this little butterflying effect, and you're just, moving. You're trying to get everything kind of moving down through the center. But you're just like moving and draining that fluid away from the face. And sometimes fluid around the eyes isn't necessarily fluid, it's fat deposits that come from aging, and that can also be purely genetic. So, there's like eye creams that are being sold that, are being sold in a way that they're just going to solve all those problems. And I've spent a lot of money on eye creams over the years, and it's not quite that simple. But I do like those silicone patches. They're not necessarily nourishing, but they are calming to the skin, and it can help kind of press and hydrate and perhaps keep fluid away from that area of under the eyes. But they make those silicone patches in all these different shapes and sizes for, here, chin, over on the forehead, also, make them for the body as well. So that's what that is about. Lips. Okay. This is a really, this is going to be an easy question to answer because everything you're doing for your face, you just need to do it for your lips. So you can absolutely put the rose mist, the hydrating serum with the dermal nutrients, and the lamina right over your lips. And there are a lot of products that are more like lip glossy and more superficial. They can have a lot of glycerin in it, and that can be helpful because glycerin or something really gooey and moist, helps keep the very top area very, very, very hydrated. So I would say that the sequence that we're all doing for our faces with the Skin Harmonics products, but we could also do some gentle washcloth. The thing you should not over scrub your lips. Like your lips can be very, very delicate. And so in a washcloth, very gentle on the lips, but then using the same layering. And there are some vegetable glycerin based lip gels that are really nice to put on top of the lamina that are really nice and just keeping everything super dewy. And that also, I can think of one more thing. When we're putting sunscreen on in the morning and however we are reapplying them, and as we're outdoors, oftentimes people will leave them off the lips. And this is where you need to have a really good and clean sunscreen so that you can include your lips when you reapply your sunscreen, or have a very specific one that you use just for your lips. So that's everything that comes to mind when it comes to our lips. Okay, I'm gonna see what other questions are happening. It's fun. So fun to see these names here. People I know, faces I know, faces I love. Oh my God, we're out of time. Holy wow. Okay, so that went really fast for me anyways, and that's the beauty, I guess, of just 30 minutes, is that everybody's got time for 30 minutes. And so check out my newsletter, everyone. You can go to my website if you haven't already and subscribe, get on my newsletter. If you email me or text me or contact me and give me the name of my last newsletter, give me the subject line, I'll give you a 10% off coupon. All new clients get a 20% off coupon when you sign up for my newsletter. And of course, you don't want to read the book. You can get on YouTube, and it's a 90-minute audio of me sharing my story with Skin. And it's all just part of this bigger campaign to kind of break through this toxic beauty mayhem and maze, and that we're all in, and getting out of these habits of, why would we over scrub our skin? Why would we, send bombs to our skin when we could when we could send food and love? So thanks for everybody for showing up. And I am going to leave with a really quick demo of the lamina, because I think that that's really important. It's a really unusual moisturizer. It restores the skin's barrier like nobody's business. It's super thick, but and it's a strange product, I know, but when you melt it and twist and make baby circles, it absolutely liquefies on the skin, and it leaves this really incredibly thin, light layer on the skin that is not super thick and burdensome and gets in our way. So thank you, everyone. I love you. I love your skin, and stay in touch. And I might do these maybe once a month or so. We'll see. But getting on my newsletter, following me on Instagram and on Facebook are great ways of staying in touch and staying connected. All right. I love you guys. Bye.